Good evening, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. I'm your host, Anur Khambatar. And for top stories, Mongolia to export food balls made of yak skin. European Bank for Reconstruction and Development introduced its Transition Report 2021-2022. Subsidy of 100,000 MNT to be provided for each ton of domestically grown vegetables. And for other news, stay tuned. Mongolians produce food ball made of yak skin. The yak skins used for the manufacture are supplied by herders from Dotsum in the province.
The idea to produce balls using yak skin was initiated by a physical training teacher and football coach from Supato province, Mr. Dursurung, in 2015. After 6 years of development, food balls were produced using yak skin in 2021. The product that takes its origin and idea from the Mongolian nomadic lifestyle, and it eventually has entered the international market. The latest example is the ball being presented during the Expo 2020 event to the World Trade Organization's representative by a United Arab Emirates princess.
And of course, I also hope that some of the products which already have this Responsible Nomad brand, like for example the football out of yak leather, which made it up to Dubai 2 weeks ago and has been handed over to the ruling family there, or the Hu band, we will hand you over after one example of the Hu band promotion material, which is also leather, but it's expressly this responsible way of managing the land, or also the yak wool and baby camel wool, that these brands will easily go through your system.
Mm-hmm. In addition, as part of the Green Gold Animal Health Project, the Hunu Fashion Sub-project is being implemented. Notably, merchandise and souvenirs made of animal-based materials are the main outcome of the project. Producers say that those souvenirs are quite popular and sold in big quantities during the world-renowned Mongolian metal rock band The Who's concerts. Experts note that such marketing and advertisements will help Mongolian products gain international markets exposure.
Currently, we are cooperating with 150 cooperatives of herders who are adopting the system and who are working to produce products capable of entering the world market.
The Green Gold Animal Health Swiss project has been going in Mongolia since 2004. During the last 17 years, several projects were successfully completed, notably rangeland health, responsible and sustainable management of rangelands, digital animal health traceability system, sustainable nomadic livestock production, and others.
European Bank for Reconstruction and Development introduced its Transition Report 2021-2022 during an event held on March 16th. This event's themed system upgrade delivering the digital dividend took place in a hybrid mode at the Blue Sky Hotel and via a Zoom platform.
To plan the investments.
Mongolia is one of 5 countries selected as a pilot for EBRD's digitalization approach under the bank's strategic and capital framework. The EBRD welcomes the digitalization strategy of the Mongolian government and supports its digital initiatives, from improving e-government services to promoting digital literacy and e-participation to establishing proper IT auditing system.
Part is that we have seen a lack of development in past years, but in the recent years, the last 2-3 years, we saw an increased investments in digitalization in the country. We see a higher usage rate of digital solution in the countries, and what I think is the most important part is that the government has a clear agenda to support digitalization on private sector level, but also on government level. E-Mongolia is a very good example. You see almost every month a new service added to the Mongolia solution. And I think that's very helpful. On one hand, for businesses applying for licenses, at the same for citizens living in Mongolia to access the services as well. So in the digitalization, in the transition report, we clearly see that development, the positive development. And in my initial speech here, I was clearly articulating my personal experience when I came here. Normally, when you enter a country new, you open a bank account. And this process, thanks to digitalization, was very smooth. And if I compare it from UK, where I was living before, the application I'm using now, it's much more developed than the one I'm using from an international bank. That shows the great innovation potential in the country, but also the willingness to adopt digital solutions.
So, let's see.
The report covers these issues through a combination of comparative analysis and in-depth review of digitalization challenges in specific countries, including Mongolia. The report and its implications for Mongolia were presented by Ms. Zhoka Koshan, senior economist from the EBRD office, and Mr. Eric Livni, lead regional economist for Central Asia. Their presentations were discussed by a panel of local and international experts. The EBRD expects 2022 to be a year of continued recovery and economic growth in Central Asia and Mongolia. The region will grow by around 4.8% in 2022 thanks to continued expansionary policies and strong external demand for key exports and labor resources. Mongolia's economy is expected to grow by about 6.5% on the back of favorable commodity prices and partial recovery of tourism.
A big aspect.
I would even start with education. Education in itself needs to be digitalized. We've all learned remotely. Many of us worked remotely during the pandemic. I don't think sitting at home and not meeting your friends is the best way to learn. But at the same time, hybrid is an excellent possibility. Some things you can learn online, other things you want to do together with your friends, and that offers a wonderful opportunity to use technology. But at the same time, not to lose your social skills and develop as a human being, right? So the way of doing it right is yet to be figured out. Mongolia, I'm sure, is still experimenting. But when you think of it, digital is a great way to offer better education to students who are not in Ulaanbaatar. Students further away. The teacher can be here. Students can be far away. So you can bridge that gap. I would also pay attention to areas like agriculture. There's a lot that can be done to help small farmers to integrate into bigger value chains, to sell their milk, to sell their meat, to sell their other products, wool, of course. So digital technology can put them on the map of larger companies, and so that they would know that they have milk, they have some other products to sell, and they would come and collect. And also online, you can learn better ways of doing your work. You can learn the modern technology of cultivating, of milking, of feeding your animals. So all that is possible. So these fields that you don't think as necessarily being digital, actually I would emphasize them very much. I come myself from Israel, which has a very large agricultural sector, but it's a very modern sector. So there's a lot of technological development in the Israeli agriculture, and I think Mongolia can do some of the same things, can learn from others.
The digital event was followed by an expert panel discussion on Mongolia's digital readiness and economic performance. This year's report explores how economies in the EBRD regions can promote their digital agendas both during and beyond the COVID-19 pandemic. Building on rich sources of data, it introduces a new index of digital transformation and highlights digital divides across and within countries. The report looks at how addressing these can promote economic development and diversification.
I met the government again.
On Wednesday, the regular cabinet meeting was held and several decisions were made. Notably, a resolution to support vegetable production was approved. Details as follows.
During the press conference, the Minister of Food, Agriculture and Light Industry, Min Sahan, said that the resolution is in line with the other four campaign's objectives to fully secure domestic demand for vegetables grown in the country and becoming an exporter. As part of the above resolution, it was decided to give a subsidy of 100,000 Mongolian tukraks per ton of domestically grown vegetables. It has also been decided to decrease the price of energy used by greenhouse farmers from October 15 to May 1st, each year between 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. The resolution also provides for an 80% reduction in the price of vegetables, crops, and greenhouse crops purchased with a state budget investment during this year's spring sowing. It is planned to allocate 13.8 billion Mongolian tukraks from the Agricultural Support Fund for spring sowing this year. According to an estimate, 22.5 thousand tons of fuel will be required for this year's spring sowing and autumn harvest. Therefore, 6.5 billion Mongolian tukraks worth of fuel will be provided to farmers, making a 50% initial payment. And fertilizers will be provided at 30% discount. The minister emphasized that the farmers are allowed to pay off the rest after the autumn harvest. Answering journalists' question, he noted that this year it's more important to concentrate on covering domestic demands rather than paying attention to exports.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Here's the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for now, and thank you for staying with us. We will see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.